It's a real pleasure to welcome our guest here at the Erkuk National Convention, and that would be the daughter and the two sons of Fred and Dorothy Weick. That's Betsy, Donald, and Dick. And along with them, Fred's nephew, Alan, is here to share what it was like growing up and living with the famous Fred Weick.
Well, when I was 3 or 4, and we were living in Hampton, and I was one time sitting, and I sat on Dad's lap quite a lot, and fairly still though, one didn't wiggle a lot on Dad's lap. And one time when I was sitting in this overstuffed chair in the living room, Dad came in and he very carefully sat on my lap, which made me feel really important.
Dad very often seemed kind of stern, or not standoffish exactly, but he didn't exhibit warmth, believe it or not. Yeah. But when he came home from work every day, the first thing he went to was Mother, and they were a team, a great team, and each one made the other more.
And affectionate.
And he wasn't the least bit shy about being affectionate with her, and that meant a lot to us, whether we realized it or not. But I've thought about it many times since then, and I thought, that guy, he could show love, and he did.
Yeah. You might have been a little bit different as neighbors. After all, you probably were the only people on the block with an airplane in your garage.
Didn't everybody do that? Yeah. After that, I got to build a kayak in the garage, but I didn't get to take it to Maryland.
Betsy, you remember the airplane in the garage?
Yes, I was not permitted in the garage because I was, 3, 4, and maybe 5, and I don't know why he wouldn't let me play in it. And I do remember that they, I heard some of this. On Friday afternoon or Friday evening, they would open up the garage and they would take parts out of it because it was stored like a 3D jigsaw puzzle in it. And the wings had to come off, Yeah. And then they worked Saturday morning, and Saturday afternoon they would come home and work on this. There was a group of 10 men, including Dad, who built the W1. Yeah. He said that some participated more than others, but they all got treated equally because that was Dad.
A little bit earlier, we were talking to Donald off camera, and he said living with his father was a little intimidating. What do you think about that, Dick?
I'm the infant of the family, and really, I think I saw a different Dad than Donald and Betsy did. We moved to Texas when I was 14 years old, and Dad really started to relax and enjoy himself more at about that time. And I think it must have been getting away from the pressure of getting the plane out and trying to develop the 4-place and the twin, none of which eventually came off. But I remember seeing the 4-place, such as it was, in the Airco factory.
Wow. There
was just the fuselage and the center section of the wing. They hadn't done the rest of the wing at all, or the tail.
Well, I think he and Mother, when they moved to Texas, he didn't have the pressures as Dick was talking about. During World War II, the company was making
blisters for the PE.
Blisters, yeah. And he was at that time designing the 4, or coach, and then he was also designing the twin, which was a beautiful airplane. It's a shame that never got put out because it was really slick. I kept telling people it looked like a sailplane, the latest sailplane. It was really a slick design. But he worked very hard on that, and then as soon as World War II was over in '45, they switched right back to making Erkuk, and they were making 30 a day, and around the clock. And I know the tension was on
Yeah.
them. But when, in 1947, we had the country hit a recession, and the last thing people need is a two-place airplane to tool around in.
Yeah.
And so that's when Urco decided not to pursue aircraft anymore.
Sure.
So Dad looked around, and he was fortunate to get a position with some friends that he knew out at Texas A&M in College Station. And he moved out there, and Mother and Dick and Betsy and I were left to hold the fort. And then Mother left, and Dick took Dick and Betsy with her, and I was left to close the joint. But they did have they had a lot more fun together. He was much more relaxed. They joined a square dancing club. Who ever thought of Fred Weick square dancing? But it was a great change for them. And Dad loved it out there so much that when Piper decided they wanted to build an expanded aircraft facility, he did his best to persuade him to go there, but the Piper boys wanted to go to Florida for more of a vacation.
Yeah. And that's
They
where they,
already had land
Yeah.
in Florida.
But,
Yeah.
but they didn't have that land, did they?
Oh, I think,
Because Dad went with them when they were looking for places to pick, and they looked at Fort Myers, they looked at the West Coast, and several other places there for looking for suitable spots, and they finally picked or settled on Vero Beach.
We all know that Fred and Dorothy were great partners in life. What was your mother like?
Oh, Mom, she was an absolute dear, and she took care of Dad. Dad came first with Mother, and we were to sort of help take care of Dad through Mother. And I don't know, she was very special. Whatever came up, Mother handled. Well, in fact, when they lived in Texas, and I heard about this because I don't remember that I was there for it. At first, they did not have a telephone, and Dad would have people come into Texas A&M to meet with, and then he would fly them home because he was flying to and from the airport and the house. And Mother would find out there was company for lunch when they landed. And she always managed.
now, how many places did you live? Seemed to
Well-
me in the history of this whole thing, you really did some moving around a little bit, didn't you?
Well, I was born in Milwaukee.
Mm-hmm.
Later we moved to Hollywood, and then we moved to Hampton. And I think I was 10.5 months old when we moved to Hampton. I was 4.5 months, I'm told, I don't remember, when we moved to Hollywood. And Mother said that in that period, I had slept 10 nights in 10 different places. Then we lived in Hampton until I was a little over 7, and then we moved to Bethesda for 1 year, and then to College Park, where we lived until I was 18. Then the folks moved to Texas and I got married.